That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Haha! Ta-da! Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. I don't know how computers work. As you can see behind me, it's actually not that bad from this angle because the chair's blocking a lot, but I'm reorganizing my comics, and it's a bit of a mess in here. So I've got a big stack right here of all my trades that I do for the show. Or have scheduled to do for the show, rather. So yeah, that's a bit crazy. And it's also a shorter week, so I figured I'd just talk about that for a sec and what I'm doing. Because, I don't know, maybe one person out of the three of you that watch this will find it interesting. So, I try to have a fair amount of variety, given that most of it's DC. But I try to do a fair amount of variety in what I buy and what I read. And so that's been getting really confusing because over the weekend I had to look for a series and I had to go through 4 boxes till I could figure out which box it was in. And so I decided that I was gonna do a little more work on just kind of condensing stuff down. So I'll have, or I have at least one full box now because it's filled, dedicated to just general DC Universe stuff that's kind of old. And then I have a box dedicated to just Batman because I buy a ton of Batman and Bat family related things. So that box is full, and so I'll probably end up having to dedicate a second one since I got all these Batman Beyond comics that couldn't make it in there. And then I'll have a box for Marvel stuff, and because I'm not much of a Marvel guy, that'll probably be a shared box with ongoing series and stuff, ongoing third party publisher kind of stuff. And then I got a couple short boxes, and I'll use those for various things. I got one box that I'm hoping I'll be able to dedicate some of my favorite stuff to. So I've got some stuff set aside to go in that. So I don't know, just interesting little thing. Thought people might be intrigued by that, or maybe not. Anyway, like I said, it was a shorter week this week, so I don't have much. Tonight we'll be talking about Zorro, Swords of Hell, Part 4 of 4, Batman, number 69, and for Trade Talk, we'll be doing the Unstoppable Wasp, Volume 1, Unstoppable. Funny enough, yes, we will be doing Trade Talk tonight. I'm actually surprised by that, because I thought I was going to be dedicating the time I would have this weekend for reading a trade to reading something for a review, which I did, but then I had this opening in my schedule today, so I was able to fit a trade in there, and that was exciting. Robert Emmett's in the chat and says, "Hey, sorry I've not been around, dude. I've been behind on books these last few weeks, plus the dog. I regularly dog sit 4 past last week, and I just didn't feel like reading at all." Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Well, glad if you're back, or not, take your time. We'll soldier on without you, I'm sure. Start the video, immediately have to sneeze. Good shit. Anyway, so I don't see any point in stalling. No time like the present. Let's go ahead and talk about Zorro not Legendary Adventures. Zorro, Swords of Hell, Part 4 of 4. So this is the epic conclusion to the story. At the end of last issue, Zorro basically walked into hell, and that is a trigger for this this mythical beast that had been summoned to be brought back to hell and have to face Diego in a duel. And if the beast loses, then obviously Diego is set free, and the villain and all that stuff is wiped out. Meanwhile, as that's going on, as that duel is taking place in this issue, Zorro's family escapes, just barely, but is caught in the middle of their escape from the Los Angeles military is caught, and it looks like they're going to be executed in public when Zorro's mother, who is a Native American warrior princess, nice shit, and that's from Isabel Allande's novel, actually, that's been canonized, and I quite like it. Zorro's mother is the only one that decides to take up the opportunity and challenges the leader of the military to a duel for honor, and so she kills him and wins. So it's funny. Most of the fighting in this Zorro Swords of Hell series is done by Lolita and Zorro's mom. Zorro fights the demon thingies, but like most of the fighting that matters, as far as like the A character bad guys that have to be defeated in this series, it's Lolita and Zorro's mom. That's kind of cool. I remember when I first talked about issue 1. This was I mentioned that this was obviously very inspired by the Tyrone Power Zorro, the Mark of Zorro film from 1940 something, and it would appear like in ways I didn't even realize, because I forgot that that's one of the only things in which we see Zorro's mom is still alive. Most media leaves his dad alive. Alejandro de la Vega tends to stick around. But Zorro's mom usually is just either never there because she's not important enough, or she gets killed off. Like in the Isabel Allende story and in the Matt Wagner run, Zorro's mom dies fighting pirates to save her son, which is kind of cool. And so it's just, I don't know, it's interesting to see her, survive and still be this like warrior woman kind of thing. Zorro fights this jaguar demon in hell, and it's a cool enough fight. I do like the art. I like the fighting dirty kind of thing. He grabs these hot coals and shoves them in the jaguar's face. I thought that was pretty neat. Otherwise, there's really not much else to say about that fight. It's just kind of cool. The thing that I like the most is kind of how it all ends, with Zorro talking to the Queen of Hell. You beat Don Quixote last time, and you thought... Oh, wait, hold on. So he beats the Jaguar. He's like, well done, Zorro. This fight ends as it began centuries past. One last task, and then it's over. Over, for now. Do you imagine this is the last task for Zorro? What do you mean? You beat Don Quixote last time, and you thought that was the end. Now you've defeated a Jaguar Bujo in single combat in the underworld, and once again you think that Zorro is done. Isn't he? You are new to the game of gods and monsters and heroes, Zorro. A hero may find that a mask once worn is difficult to remove. The world does not reward heroes. It does not let them rest. Don Diego de la Vega might have been able to marry his beautiful bride and settle down and raise fat children and fat chickens and fat tomatoes on his beautiful lands, but this is not the destiny of Zorro. Zorro must always stand ready to defend his people and the land he loves, the sleepy little pueblo with the long and beautiful name. Zorro may know battle, he may know joy and sorrow, he may know defeat and victory, but Zorro will never know peace. And I really, really like that. And so, like, after hearing that, Zorro decides to kind of leave his family and his wife, or fiance rather, and ride off to try to see if he can find peace, if the world truly does need Zorro. And I really liked that. I thought that was a really cool ending to the series. It reminds me of the Tarantino and Wagner Zorro and Django comic, where it starts with I'm trying to remember the exact wording of it. I mean, it's out. One moment, please. Oh, I got it out here somewhere. I'm terribly afraid of just tripping and busting my shit all over my comics, and just that whole thing would be amazing. Django Zorro #1, going in my favorites collection. Okay. So it's literally the first line of the book. And for some, the call to adventure never wearies with age. And it just starts out with Zorro and Bernardo riding through the desert. Love it. Love it to death. So like the idea that Zorro doesn't realize that yet, that he's going to have to be Zorro forever, and he's not sure what to do with that information. I really like that. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Robert Emmett says, I want to read these Zorro books, but I'm not sure my store can get them. What company is it? I believe this is American Mythology Productions. I'm not sure if they're a just local company, like or U.S. based company, or if they do global distribution or what. I mean, I suppose it'd be worth checking like Comixology or maybe just their website directly. You know what? I'm enjoying these because I'm a Zorro fan. I really like Zorro. I'll be perfectly honest, they're not like the greatest thing ever. Like, I really love Django Zorro. I really love Matt Wagner's Zorro run. Zorro in the last like 10 years has had some really great comics that are doing some of the best stuff that's ever been done with the character, in my opinion. These comics, the Zorro Swords of Hell, it's fine, it's fun, it's enjoyable, I like things about it. It's not, character defining. It's a fun little adventure, and that's enough for me. So I don't want to try to oversell them on people. And as far as the Zorro Legendary Adventures, those are, of course, reprints of older stuff, and they're still exactly the same thing. They're fun, they're enjoyable, they're a little dated here and there, but that's fine, as long as you go into it with the right frame of mind. As far as the Django Zorro comic, that was done by Dynamite, and if you're going to go read stuff, I highly recommend Django Zorro. It's 7 issues and it's done, and it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, good series. It is getting a continuation, I believe, by the same writer. Maybe. Oh, no. By a different writer. Okay. Where's that? Zorro Sacrilege. With Mike Wolfer and Mauricio Melo, featuring cover art by Roy Allen Martinez and comic book legend Michael Kaluta. So yeah, that's this getting a new. I guess I don't know if it's like a continuation of this or if its own spin-off series or just its own standalone miniseries or what. But yeah, Zorro Sacrilege. Looks like there's going to be more stuff with demons and monsters, which, again, it's different for Zorro, but I'm okay with that because we don't do it that often. So hey, we can experiment with Zorro. Let's see here. Mano says, I'm so happy Ian has picked up Unstoppable Wasp. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a few. It's going to be fun. Robert Emmett says, I was going to read Wasp, but I gave the first issue to my niece to read first and never saw it again, so I never got started. That's fair. Yeah, that's. I think that's a fair trade-off. Go pay $4 more for that issue, or $12 for the trade. Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on and talk about Batman number 69. This Nightmare series is going on for days. Days and days and days. I love Tom King. I love this story arc in particular. Has been really, really interesting. Kind of an experimentation with storytelling in a Batman comic, which is as good a place as any to do it. But it has been a really long arc. I think is Nightmares the longest Tom King arc, or would that maybe be War of Jokes and Riddles? That's a hard one to place, because, like, one of the things that's felt so refreshing about King's run is not only with the double shipping, but the arcs are just really, really short, like 4 to 5 issues at the longest, and so that's been just, it's kept it feeling very fresh. Whereas this one's, it's been a hot minute of these Nightmare stories. And so we're finally done. And now we're moving into, or we're setting up for City of Bane. And like each of these Nightmare issues, they start off one way and then they take a turn. They take such a turn, some of these issues. With Batman asking Selena Kyle to dance and then seeing her wearing the wedding dress again is such a just whoa moment. And then how Batman kind of explains what's been going on in the nightmares, what he's learned about the nightmares, and how he figures out how he can escape. And it looks like he's totally Batmaned it. He's figured it all out. He's managed, and then he just the whole story just takes a turn. He asks Catwoman, what's the real reason she left him at the altar? Why? And she says, why? Isn't it obvious? Can't you see? It's your vow, Bruce, your suicide. In that moment, you forswore love. You chose war. No. You can't love anyone, anything but the vow, but the bat. Darling, your greatest fear is your simplest truth. You don't love me. It's not true, Cat. I'm sorry. You don't know, Bat, how sorry I am. I love you, Cat. I have to. No, my love. You don't. Thank you for the dance, Bat. It was lovely. But the dream is done. It's time to wake up. She kisses him and walks away. Oh, whew. These just hurt. Like, just everything about these just hurt. Like, what did I do to you, Tom King? Why must you personally attack me in this manner? Ouch. Just, ouch. Like, that's such a very emotional, very impactful scene there. The idea that Batman can't love. I think back to Rooftops, which was the first time that we saw King write Catwoman and Batman together. And in that, I remember saying right off the bat, that King's got what I feel is the ultimate take on Batman and Catwoman, or the take I agree with on Batman and Catwoman, is that they have a very deep, very personal attraction to each other, but that it can never work because who they are in their day-to-day lives is so fundamentally different, and they can never truly trust one another. For the longest time, that was really my Batman take, and when I saw him kind of start out there with that boom, 2-issue run, 2-issue arc that just seemed to perfectly convey that, I was kind of there for it. It seems that we've now circumvented that. It seems that King said, no. That's true, but it's deeper than that. And the idea that Batman can't be with Catwoman, can't be with Talia, can't be with anyone is not because he's so committed to the work. It's not because he loves being Batman more. It's because he's sworn off love. In the quest to be the ultimate crime fighter, he's given up the ability to love. The wording was there. You chose love. You chose war over love, or at least that's his fear. That's his ultimate nightmare. That he has given up everything that makes him human in order to be Batman. In service of the vow. And I'm just like, whew, it's a lot to take in. It's such a... Batman truly is a character steeped in tragedy. And I feel like that's where he works best. So to see King so perfectly, in my opinion, building off of Morrison, but then cycling it back and making it about how profoundly human he is, and how that's his biggest weakness in regards to being Bat God. Yeah, that really hits the spot for me. Geeks for Fun, Alfie. Hey, Alfie says, it's interesting as although this does have a lot of weight to it, it's still Bruce's fear. Fighting through that fear that he can't love anyone is probably going to be his chance to be brave. It's an interesting take on it. Philip Cutton says, but Batman can love. We saw the version of a world where it did happen. Yeah, that's the tragedy of it, isn't it? Robert Evans says, also, Batman is totally gay and can't come out. You read 68 and saw how he dreams of Clark's robot strips. The Lois having the idea and dream was his mind's way of saying to himself, no homo. Come out, Bruce. We accept you. Nah, man. Tim Drake's the gay. Tim Drake is the gay. Yeah. I don't know. This is a good-ass issue. Yannick Paquette doing the art, by the way, is just... Oh, it's not fair that someone is this talented. This 2-page spread in the Silver Age costumes as they dance through the street on sheet music, and Batman explains everything that's been happening throughout the arc. I'm just like, whoa. That's some good stuff. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I mean, just, wow, Yannick Paquette blows me away. Then also, this is intercut with scenes of Thomas Wayne Batman from the Flashpoint universe and Bane fighting, which I was not expecting. Like, we know that they were working together, but I didn't expect them to be sparring partners. And Thomas Wayne has apparently been just kicking the shit out of Bane. And I was like, damn, I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, that's cool. What they're doing has like this whole build-up of them working together to try to stop Bruce because they want the same thing, but they want it in different ways. I do like this scene that Thomas Wayne has here. He's like, you think you broke the Batman? All you've ever done, all you ever do is play a game with the little boy, a child who needs his father, who needs to know, as you need to know, that I'm Batman. That's... Whew! I quite like that. You know, it's interesting. I don't think of Thomas Wayne Batman as the kind of guy to be able to physically match anybody. I don't know, like, how much... Because I have the original Flashpoint series, and I think that's all he's appeared in up until the Button. And I never really pictured Thomas Wayne as he went out and got all the training. I don't think Thomas Wayne's journey was the same as Bruce's journey. Always pictured that Thomas Wayne, like, after Bruce died and Martha went crazy, Thomas Wayne just kind of very Death Wish-like started going out with a gun and killing people. And that he just, like, when he ran out of bullets, he'd just start fighting. And he just kept getting lucky enough not to die until he just got good at brawling, as opposed to being, like, this fantastic martial artist kind of thing. But maybe that's just me. Yeah. Good ass issue. I am ready for the Nightmares arc to be done. I don't know if I can take this emotional roller coaster anymore. Alrighty. Alfie says, the Nightmares leading up to this being so long was also to give the main four artists going forward a chance to get a head start and make the rest of the run between those. That makes sense. Philip Kelton thought it was interesting that Thomas Wayne pulled a gun on Bane. I was surprised it didn't happen earlier. Robert M. said, if they actually made Bane Thomas Wayne's son like they tried to do at one point, then this dynamic would be super fucking tragic as him using one son to hurt the other. I hate... Bruce Wayne's an only child. Bruce Wayne is an only child. Bruce Wayne is an only child. Lincoln March doesn't exist. That wasn't a character that ever happened anywhere in history. Bruce Wayne does not have a long forgotten sister or any of that shit. No, Bruce Wayne is an only child. Stop it. Stop fucking with certain things. I hate it. Geeks Fun says, I do feel this Thomas is a soft reboot since King seems to have reinvented the idea of old man Punisher to Dark Knight Returns Batman brought into mainline. That's fair. I think that's fair. Still, regardless, I just saw Thomas Wayne as a very different kind of character. I didn't see him kind of becoming the ultimate martial artist kind of thing that Bruce did. Robert Evans says, also, why is Bane naked? Put some pants on, dude. Yeah, that's just a little awkward. Yo, hey, will you spar with me? Oh, sure, man, that sounds cool. Okay, I'm gonna be naked the whole time. Why? Well, I was naked earlier in the series, so I figured I should be naked again. Yeah, but, like, why? I'm sure there's some kind of deep meaning to it. He's just too big. He just keeps ripping through all the pants he has, maybe. Alright, so that finishes up the single issues. Nice and quick. Let's go ahead and go on and talk about Unstoppable Wasp. Or The Unstoppable Wasp Volume... What? Starting over. Let's go ahead and talk about The Unstoppable Wasp Volume 1. Unstoppable. So, as I said with the Miss Marvel series, Simeon Scott, the Vacuuminator, was very kind and sent me a couple different volumes. Let's see here. Sent me a volume of Miss Marvel, sent me 2 volumes of The Unstoppable Wasp, and 1 volume of The Unbelievable Gwenpool. So I will be working my way through those over the next couple weeks, and I gotta say, I really appreciate the gift because this was something I was surprised by how much I enjoyed, given my tastes in comics and in particular my general love-hate relationship with Marvel. I was really surprised this worked for me as well as it did. because this was nothing. This was something I never would have bought for myself. Which, we did a Geeky Gentleman episode back in December on gift giving, and one of the points I made in that was a gift shouldn't be something that's practical or useful. It should be something that you wouldn't get for yourself, that someone actually put some thought into it and go, oh, this person likes this thing, this thing, this thing, but they wouldn't get this for themselves because reason X, Y, Z. This is like literally a perfect gift. I really, really appreciated this because I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. So the story of The Unstoppable Wasp is about a girl named, what's her name? I already forgot. Dinah? Damn it, hold on. Let me just find the page where she goes over everything. Nadia. Okay. Her name's Nadia. So we get her origin in this page, and it's a lot of reading, but I really like just how well it explains everything. It does it all in a page, and that's very, very useful. All right. I'm the daughter of Henry Pym. He was a world-renowned scientist, but you'll probably know him best as Ant-Man. He was one of the first Avengers. What a lot of people don't know about my father, though, is that before he became a superhero, he did become a supervillain too. Before he became a superhero, he was married. His first wife, Maria Torivanya Pym, was the daughter of a Hungarian geneticist. It must have been love at first sight because they got married and Maria convinced him to take her back to Hungary for their honeymoon. And then one night, men appeared and pulled the love of his life away from him. Hank would never see Maria again, no matter how he looked. Maria died, but there was something Hank didn't know. When she was kidnapped, Maria was pregnant. She gave birth to a young girl just days before her death. She named me Nadia. It means hope. I was raised in a secret facility called the Red Room in Russia, where they train young girls to become weapons. Most girls become assassins, but they quickly realized that I took after my father. I was a natural engineer and quick study in physics, chemistry, and biology. They moved me to an isolated facility designed only for the brightest minds of the Red Room. They called it the science class. They sent me to work reading and experimenting. I saw work from S.H.I.E.L.D., AIM, Hydra, and the U.S. government. But the research I kept gravitating toward was all written by my father. He was so creative, so brilliant, they wanted me to replicate his work. And I did. I figured out the key to Pym particles, and that was the day I decided I was tired of daydreaming about my father. I would escape and go meet him. And she just kind of heads off into the world. I really, really like that. It's very comic book. This character you've never even heard of, secret origin. Like, it is pretty sketch, particularly with some of the background of this. I can't be sure of it, but it is pretty sketch that's her origin. Oh yeah, this character no one ever knew about, and I don't know my Marvel history enough to say whether or not that character actually exists. Hank Pym's first wife, no clue. Leaning on a no, just given some of the stuff that goes on in the background of Nadia's story. So Nadia's in the country, but she's trying to get U.S. citizenship because technically she's an illegal immigrant / refugee since she escaped from, the Red Room. But so like kind of the background thing that's making me, there's just no way. There's no way. The background thing is, we just need to prove that you're actually Hank Pym's daughter. And they don't get to a conclusion for that plot thread. That is clearly being set up. So, my theory, it's really early for fan speculation, but my theory is going to be, she damn sure is not Hank Pym's daughter. I think she's a clone. I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to go far out for that one. I think she is totally a clone of Hank Pym, and for whatever reason, they didn't get it dead on right, and she's a girl. That's my current theory. We'll see where that goes. But the rest of the story is just like Nadia, who's a fucking social butterfly. Ha, the wasp. Social wasp butterfly of bubbly personality. Just instantly has people in love with her. She makes friends with everyone she meets, and is just the most social person. Like that little background I read on her, right? When she first walks into the immigration office, she sits down and talks to this lady who just the way they draw her, the way she talks, she just looks like a bit of a hard ass. Like someone who's kind of burnt out and who has seen way too much darkness in the world to have any hope left in her. And then you get Nadia talking about her origin, and then the lady's just so blown away. And he was dead. Oh no, that's so sad. You are too precious, Nadia, too good for this world. They kept you locked away all those years, and look at you. You're a little ray of sunshine. I absolutely love that. That's such a cool character dynamic, because Nadia's walking around in pretty girly clothes, honestly. For lack of a better way to describe it, it's all pretty blatantly. It's not like trying to do the typical thing of dress a girl in men's clothes to show that she's tough and not like other girls. No, she's wearing skirts and shit. Crop top, is that what you call that? Where like you can see the straps underneath, or you have the exposed shoulders. She's wearing very feminine clothing. So one of the things this is doing that I really like is it's playing off of a pretty stereotypical trope, which is, oh yeah, we've got a lead female character, but she might as well be a man. It's like, no, we've got a lead female character who is very feminine, who's really cool and fun and bubbly and super nice, and she's also just able to do anything she sets her mind to. And that's kind of the cool part about this is she, what's her name? Blackbird? There's like a giant robot, and they see her, and Mockingbird. She meets up with Mockingbird, and like they have this whole conversation, and she's like, she realizes who Mockingbird actually is, like her actual name, and she goes, biologist Barbara Morse, like Project Gladiator Barbara Morse, like almost successfully reproduced the super soldier serum Barbara Morse. Those are not usually the things people remember about me. Like Lady Adventure, scientist in the Savage Land, and hanging out with Man-Thing in the Everglades Barbara Morse? That is weird that you know all of that. You are my hero! Reaches over, immediately hugs her. I read your research on the super soldier serum, and you talked about all the traveling in the Savage Land, and I thought this is who I want to be when I grow up. A woman who's a super scientist but doesn't stay locked in a lab all day. She has adventures. You inspire me. Okay, that's a lot right there, and I just, I've worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. for a long time, and I don't know that anybody has ever said that I inspire them, and that's cool for a superhero, just cry in public, but people don't remember that I'm a scientist. They just remember that I used to be married to Hawkeye and that I hit things with sticks, so that means a lot. Come here, kid. It's been a rough couple of months for me. Can I have another one of those hugs? Heck yes. So she just immediately, like, this overwhelmingly positive personality, and that's just really, really cool and refreshing. Because I can't think of many characters that are played that way that are not coded to be annoying. Like, I could think of characters that are like super excitable, super happy and go lucky kind of types, but anytime you see them, it's usually in juxtaposition to another character who is annoyed by them, and you're meant to be annoyed with them. And so that's just kind of Wasp's, the Unstoppable Wasp's whole thing. And so what I really like here is Mockingbird and Nadia kind of head off, and they just, all the conversations in this are so great. So Wasp, what's your plan? What do you mean? Well, you've got a whole life to make up and nobody telling you what to do. You're free for the first time in your life. You said you wanted science adventures. What's the big plan? What are you going to do? Well, that's the thing. See, I want to do everything. I want to fix everything. I want to make a difference. That's a lot for just one person. Yeah. But, and I remind you, I've only known you for a few hours. But I think if anyone can do it, you can. And that's what I really like, the idea of the Unstoppable Wasp. She is a force of positivity and just immediately like brings this like, wow, infectious energy, I feel is the best way to describe this character. So she has this conversation with Mockingbird and decides, is inspired to gather female scientists and inventors and engineers and kind of bring them together, because S.H.I.E.L.D. and all these other organizations that have been in comics and the real world for years really only keep track of men as far as who's the most intelligent and stuff like that. Mockingbird brings up that there's this list of that S.H.I.E.L.D. keeps the most intelligent people in the world, and the first woman who placed on the list was at number 27. And that's just unbelievable. That in the Marvel Universe, that it can only be men that are in the top 10 of the most intelligent. But then Moon Girl came around and automatically placed at the top of the list, so instead of rethinking how the list was made, they just put her at the top and bumped everyone else down one. And so it's absurd. It's got blinders on, and that's an interesting little contained commentary about institutionalized sexism. I'm not going to get into all that because it's relevant, but it's not super relevant. It's a very distracting topic. So Nadia kind of like, half my life was stolen from me, and so I want to empower others that never had that kind of opportunity, or that would never have this kind of opportunity otherwise. And so she decides that she is going to found Genius in Action Research Labs. Girl. And she goes off, and the rest of the series is just about her trying to recruit these girl geniuses that we've never heard of before, and she's just this absolute force of positivity, and it's just shocking. Also, there's a plot about a girl that she worked with in the lab, or in the Red Room, named Ying, who has been sent by the Red Room to recapture Nadia, or she'll die. And that's interesting because Nadia was like, this is the closest thing Nadia ever had to a friend before she escaped, and she was trying to plan a way to come back and get her out, but she just hadn't had the time yet because she'd only just escaped. And so this is, this like kind of getting in the way of that, and now it looks like it might be too late to save her. So yeah, that's kind of the subplot that's going on here. I will say I did have one complaint about the volume, or one really notable complaint about the volume. So we get to the end of the story where Ying reveals that if she doesn't bring Nadia in 36 hours, then her head's going to blow the fuck up Suicide Squad style. And then it's like this big dun dun dun, to be continued. You still got an issue worth of book left. You flip the page, and it's All New, All Different Avengers number 14, which is Nadia's been in the country for a matter of hours, and Janet, the former Wasp, Janet Pym, or whatever she's divorced now. Can't remember her original name. She works with her and saves her from being re-abducted and all this stuff. And then they see the start of the Civil War II stuff happening on screen. Nadia can't take it, and this is a really good story in and of itself. It definitely should have taken place beforehand. Everything about this should have I don't know the publishing order of these things. It may very well be that The Unstoppable Wasp number 1 came out before this issue, but this issue definitely is supposed to take place before the events of this book, and it would make more sense if it was placed before the rest of the chapters in this book, if you're just going to include them all together. So yeah, I thought that was an odd one. I really do love this moment at the end of the issue where Janet has to kind of calm Nadia down and talk to her about how people don't really work like machines, and you can't immediately solve all the problems with science. And so she gets her out, and she's talking with Jarvis about her. You think we're right to let her figure out her own path, Jarvis? It's just, she has so much Hank in her. She'll obsess, she'll forget to eat, she'll forget to sleep. Do you think I could have a pet leopard? It seems so nice. With all respect, ma'am, I'm not sure we could stop her. I think we're wrong. She already reaches out more than Dr. Pym ever did. She's not as introverted. There's so much optimism in her, so much potential to do good. She's refreshing, resilient. She'll try anything, do anything. This is why I never had kids. They're terrifying. Do you think we should tell her more about her father, his darker sides? Absolutely not. The girl has never had a family. The idea of Hank is all she has. Mercifully, he is not here to ruin that for her. Let her enjoy her hero worship for as long as she can. It's good for her. She's going to be a superhero, Jarvis. And I can't think of one I'd rather take the name of the Wasp. Look at her. She thinks she can fix the whole world. Maybe she can. As far as I can tell, she is unstoppable. That was good. That was good. It's just, oof. That's on point. It's just really, really good character writing. Really refreshing, positivity. And it works so well since Marvel's pretty typically the more cynical, realistic universe. To have someone just be that, and infectiously happy and resilient is really cool. So yeah, I really, really did enjoy this volume. I'm so excited that I have volume 2. I'm going to have to check out more of it. Really, really good first volume. Instantly fell in love with the character. Very excited. I did say that, I should hate it because it does a lot of Marvel stuff that I typically hate. And I mean, I talked about that whole origin. It's just such a fucking mess of Marvel continuity. That is dependent on a lot of things. Mockingbird at one point says to Wasp and Miss Marvel, "Wait, you guys know what the Red Room is? Is that just a thing people know about now?" And I'm like, yeah, it's wrapped up in the Red Room, and it's wrapped up in Hank Pym and Janet, and it's like this legacy character. It's a really complicated, convoluted ass origin, but it does it all in a page, and then it's kind of done with it. It still has some mileage, it still gets some stuff out of it, but it's not... All the emotional weight is not dependent on her origin. She doesn't have to be Hank Pym's daughter. It works, it's fitting the story. I suspect that she's truly not, but she doesn't have to be for the emotional payoff to work here. You could have invented a new evil organization that held her captive for years. You could have invented all this other stuff. The way that it ties in with Marvel continuity seems much more fluid and natural, and it's just like, oh, well, we could invent a new one, or we can just use some pre-existing stuff. And yeah, why make an evil organization if you already have one that can fit the role of the story? I thought that was good. There's like a lot of good choices here that it's a very typical Marvel thing in a way that usually annoys me, but it's just handled really, really well here. So I really appreciated that. Yeah, great series. If they adapted her into the MCU and did it well, I would instantly care more about Nadia in the MCU than I do Scott Lang or Hank Pym and anyone else. Yeah, that's what I got. I think that's gonna do it. I really, really did love this volume. The art I didn't mention much of. It didn't wow me or anything, but I did quite like it. I'll say, I mean, it's kind of unfair, but I like the covers a lot more. Like, you have this cover image of her inside a machine dancing and, using her phone or something. And then, like, you get... That scene actually happens in the issue, and you get the visual of it, and it's just... It's fun, but it's not quite the same. It's so unfair to compare them, because obviously the cover has so much more time to be rendered and everything, but it kind of steps on the imagery a little bit. It kind of makes you go, oh, well, it's just not as good as the cover. And that's kind of what I just noticed about a lot of the art through this volume is it's fine, it's serviceable, it works. I'm not ever confused. I'm not ever like, oh, what's happening? Who is this? And it's got a lot of energy. The facial expressions, I know who's supposed to be who and what they're supposed to be feeling. And I thought the layouts and everything were fine, but the style itself just didn't really hit me in any way. It just kind of felt present. So, sorry to rant and rave about how good the story is and not really have much positive to say on the art. So it's just, yeah, it's there. But man, I did really like the series, and yeah, that's all I got. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode of Trade Talk. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. Bye! Alrighty, and what were the comment reactions to Trade Talk this week? That never happens. Maybe I should try to do comic reviews earlier. I have no idea how I would manage that, but maybe I should try. Awesome to see Marvel getting a win for you. Thank you. Philip Kelton says, the Marvel Universe has so many time travel and interdimensional shenanigans. I wouldn't be surprised if the dimension where Hank Pym did have a daughter got overlapped with normal continuity. I mean, I think the way the story works, it seems entirely more believable that she just isn't actually Hank Pym's daughter, and that's just a lie they told her to keep her motivated. I am perfectly ready to find out she's like a clone of Hank Pym. Wait, so S.H.I.E.L.D. takes on account gender to select their list of smartest people? No, they don't think of it. They just, gender blindness, institutionalized sexism is just a thing. So I can talk about this now because now I'm not reviewing the book. But it's just institutionalized sexism is a thing. So the idea oh yeah, here's a list of our smartest people. Oh, what? Yeah, the first 27 are all men. Is there any reason that shouldn't be? I mean, maybe if you talk to any women and what are your metrics for this? How did you generate this list? Oh, well, we just know all these really smart guys, and then one woman out of 27 of them, one was a woman. So we're like, oh yeah, okay, so she's number 27. That's just the idea of institutionalized sexism. Philip Gunn says, I feel S.H.I.E.L.D. is wasting everyone's taxes. I don't know how S.H.I.E.L.D. is funded. I'm infinitely curious about things like that. Again, I want to go to school in the Marvel Universe. S.H.I.E.L.D. really only exists to fuck things up or lock away super criminals. Yeah, that's true. And McPick says, I hope Pym is Nadia. Interesting. And McPick says, I'm still surprised that Marvel didn't make Nadia meet Pymtron at this point. I mean, the Pym at the moment is out of this world, literally. Yeah, I remember Pym in Secret Invasion, or no, what was it called? Secret Empire. Yeah, that was awful. I'd be curious what her reaction would be. One of the things I was particularly impressed by. Hold on, I gotta Google a thing first. Alrighty, hold on. Yeah, no, that's not right. Where's the one? Okay, here we go. Zoom in on this side of it, and then oh, where am I at? Okay. Yeah, there we go. It's close enough. Okay. So, here we have Hank Pym, who creates Ultron, who creates Vision, and Vision eventually creates his own family, and yada. But, Nadia goes on a whole rant about how Ultron's her brother, which makes Vision her cousin, her nephew, which means that Vision's family is Vision's kids are her grandniece and nephew. And I'm just that's really funny. The Marvel family shenanigans there are really, really funny. Where's the one from the damn book? It was so good. Yeah, here you go. Something similar at least. There it is. Yeah, okay, so you got Hank Pym, creates Ultron, creates Vision, and Ultron also created, I can't remember this character's name, and then Vision creates the Vivs, the Vision family, with Scarlet, and Scarlet Witch has her whole thing. Yeah, it's an event. But yeah, so Hank would also branch off this way for Nadia, if that's actually true. I don't think it is. Again, I'm already fan theorying about this one. Anyway, I think that'll probably do it for comic reviews tonight. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. That went a lot longer than I thought it would go with 3 books, but I had a really, really good time with this trade. I was really glad I was able to get it in this week. Yeah, until next time. Bye!